It's not the season for teams attempting 3-2 victories after being 2-0 down. India have lost a series against West Indies, a men's bilateral series against West Indies for the first time in 6 years. Not an auspicious start to what was a new look T20 side, but what a result for West Indies. Resounding in the decider, a thumping win worth spending time on just what this means for West Indies. After everything they've gone through over the last year or so, not making the Super 12s of the T20 World Cup, not qualifying for an ODI World Cup for the first time ever, they've beaten an India side, and it doesn't matter what India side it is.
It'll be a huge confidence booster, without a doubt, for what the West Indies cricket or these players have gone through in a year and a half in T20 format, as well as not qualifying for the 50 over, which is a great setback for them. But I think it'll lift the spirits of the people, of the players, and beating this Indian side, even though whoever is not available, Indian side is always pretty strong, and this team was, strong. So I feel this will lift their confidence and made them will make them believe that yes, the good old days can come back. I mean, it's still long way to go, but at least it'll give them a lot of confidence going ahead. Uh, in 10 months' time, they are going to play the World Cup in West Indies and in America. At least it'll make them feel a lot more confident.
Yes, and so many positives that we've touched upon through the series. Possibly none more so than Nicholas Pooran coming to his own. You look at the three wins. There was one constant to the three wins. Nicholas Pooran fired with the bat, and West Indies won. That's not surprising.
I mean, we've talked about him so many times. He's their X factor, and the longer he bats uh, in that batting innings, he makes the most impact in that West Indian innings. So his wicket is the most valued, and that's the reason why India obviously dominated those two games. But then he turned up in the game that matters. Him and Brendan King, who also had such a quiet series, those two guys turned up, and we talked about it, that if any of the guy who gets a start and gets 60 70, Brendan King got an 80 odd, and Nicholas Pooran obviously, he played beautifully, changed the momentum. Obviously they were not chasing a very big total, but I thought the wicket was a little challenging. I thought it will be a little bit difficult, but they didn't let India come on top at all. So Nicholas Pooran showed, he's in such a good form and he's so confident that when he bats for those many deliveries, he changes the game completely.
Yes, we need to look at India. And before we look at the series as a whole, in this deciding contest, first things first, would you say they lost the game with the bat? Because we expected this to be a high scoring venue. West Indies proved with the comfort of their chase that it was still a surface which had runs there to be taken. So, what did India get wrong in that first part of the game when they were batting?
Well, obviously losing Yashasvi and Shubman Gill, within that power play, that's a big setback. And we all know that India only bats till number seven, and the last four obviously doesn't contribute much at all. They don't have that boundary hitting or six hitting ability. So it obviously, when you lose two, three wickets, the guys coming in, obviously they can't play freely, and obviously it adds a lot of pressure to them, because they can't play uh, that fearless brand of cricket or the attacking cricket that we talk about, because if we are four down or five down, the tail starts coming in, and exactly that has happened in the games that we have lost. The top order hasn't scored runs, and Arshdeep and Kuldeep and all these guys are playing the last two, 3 overs. So that is a big concern for India. Obviously, the batting hasn't clicked. Surya Kumar Yadav obviously played well, but nobody else chipped in or nobody else made a significant contribution. I thought the wicket was still good enough. I obviously said to 220, but at least with the batting that we had, if it had clicked, we would have still got close to 200 runs.
Yes, and it's worth looking at the two instances when India had to bat first and set totals in this series, because that has been such a commonly debated point that in a lot of T20 tournaments, the marquee tournaments, it is when India bat first and they don't put enough runs on the board in the crunch games. So in that regard, 152 for 7 when they batted first in the second game in Guyana, and now 165 here, both of which were totals that they only reached thanks to some unexpected runs from the likes of Arshdeep and Mukesh towards the end. So it continues to remain a problem for India, setting totals when they're batting first, especially if it's not a rank flat surface.
It is a concern. Obviously, like I said, uh, the major concern is the batting finishing at 7, and then again, uh, quite a few of the top order not uh, you know getting a start and not converting it, and obviously not batting the bulk of the overs. And again, it boils down to uh, the batters feel there's nobody to bat after 7, so obviously the top 7 has to bat the bulk of the overs. So sometimes when you go with that mindset, it doesn't help you. So I think going forward, India need to address this issue, because India need uh, within 10 months time, India will be playing World Cup here, uh, and this can't be the template. Our batting needs to at least till to come till the number 8, possibly number 9, somebody who can tong the ball, and obviously the bowlers, they need to start uh, getting their batting a little bit better. At least there's six hitting or four hitting ability, because from Ashdeep at least contributed something in this series. But talking about Yajwinder Chahal, Mukesh Kumar, uh, or even Kuldeep Yadav, I mean those guys need to get their batting. I mean I can talk about Harbhajan Singh or Irfan Pathan. They were pretty similar when they entered international cricket, but they batted for hours and hours and improved their batting. So, if we are playing so much one-day cricket, those guys need to at least improve their hitting ability. And going into T20 World Cup in 10 months' time, I think the selectors need to address this. That our batting needs to be till number 8, till number 9, and we need to look at the guys who can bat and bowl. Shivam Dube comes to my mind, Venkatesh Iyer, Washington Sundar. Those are the guys that comes to my mind. I think we need to groom them for the coming World Cup.
Let's talk about what was a difficult series for India's captain. Just focusing on his batting purely, 13 of 18 today, a spate of low and slow scores throughout the series. At what point, Wasim, does Hardik Pandya's strike rate become a striking issue for India?
Well, it has been a concern. I mean, we've talked about in our shows as well. He looks a little rusty. We can't see that free-flowing Hardik Pandya who comes in and strikes it, sweetly. Uh, doesn't mean he hitting sixes, but striking it nicely, rotating the strike. Apart from that 50, I think he scored in the third ODI, uh, where also he started very, very slowly, but then he picked it up at the back end of the overs or the slog overs. But even then, he looked a little rusty. The partnership between him and Shubman in that third ODI, he because of he started so slowly. Shubman Gill struggled at the other end, and obviously he got out. But I think that's a concern. For me, looking at how Hardik Pandya batted in this series, that's a big concern because not every time he's going to start slowly and he's going to finish very strongly. We could see this in this series as well. The momentum, as soon as he comes, the momentum drops down, the run rate, the strike rate comes down, and obviously it puts pressure on the other guys and in the dugout as well. So, something for him to, worry and obviously take note and improve as and when the next opportunity comes.
Yes, India will hope they get to see the old Hardik Pandya a lot more often, because the strike rates, the numbers you've seen on the screen, uh, you can't really make do with that with someone who's batting 5, 6, and 7. And Hardik Pandya might not have the option to bat anywhere higher given all the options India already do have. Just talking about the team on the whole, this was a first series for a new look side, Wasim. Um, how do you assess the full series? I mean, there is one way of looking at it, that you've lost a series to West Indies, who've been in such bad form, a team you don't lose series to. But it was also a new side. How would you expect this side to be rated? And would India be better off still continuing with this mix? Give them a few more series to see whether this is the mix for the World Cup next year?
I mean, like I said before, the bulk of the team will be from this 15. There's no doubt about it. You need to look at the youngsters to take you forward, especially in this format. So, without a doubt, Yashasvi Jaiswal, uh, Tilak Verma, and obviously Mukesh Kumar, Rashdeep Singh. Those are your future. Kuldeep Yadav. But there are some gaps you need to fill. Like I said, batting at 6, 7, and 8, the all-rounders, and obviously the consistency of the batters. I thought the consistency of the batters, you know, were uh, major issue for me. Uh, you know, we had decent performances every now and then, but like I said, Sanju Samson, Hardik Pandya, Shubman Gill, uh, those were the concern. Ishan Kishan in this T20 format. So when you have got so many guys who are not performing at their best, you do get results like that, and that is something for India to worry. I would say, but without a doubt, you probably look at these guys to take you forward in this format, and obviously, like I said, Shivam Dube, Venkatesh Iyer. Uh, and Washington Sundar. I would also put in Shah Rukh Khan's name as well because he bowls off spin. He can bat at number 7. Uh, he can be that finisher also. To promote these guys, to groom these guys, in because in 10 months' time we will be playing World Cup in this country. So and we have seen with what West Indies have done in this series, you don't need to be express pace 140, 145. If you've got decent pace, somebody like Shivam Dube or Venkatesh Iyer, you could get the job done, with those slower ones and those off cutters. So you can groom them guys for similar situation come the next World Cup.
And interesting you say that, because if you look at the difference makers for West Indies, that's perhaps one such a distinction between these two sides, that West Indies line up with a lot of utility cricketers. Kyle Mayers at the top, who bats and can bowl. So many. Romario Shepherd ends as the highest wicket taker of this series. He can also bat. Akil Hussain was economical, did his bit with the ball, also won a game with the bat where he was joined by Alzari Joseph. That's the kind of depth, that's the kind of combination and utility and balance that India could borrow a leaf well from West Indies, couldn't they?
Without a doubt. I mean, if you look at the last T20, we talked about it, that Odion Smith was batting at number 9, Akil Hussain was batting at number 10. I mean, if the game is stuck and you need 10 ball 20 or 3 overs 30, you would back Odion Smith or Akil Hussain or Romario Shepherd to get the job done. Exactly what I mean. I mean, look at England, look at Australia, the kind of depth those teams have. Unfortunately, India didn't probably select those guys, and obviously India didn't have that depth. So it puts a lot of pressure. Still, no excuses for the batsmen, but it put a lot of pressure on them to go out there to play freely, to play that attacking brand of cricket.